Hey everybody, hey, it's Deborah, and I promised I would be back. I am back. You didn't think it was an April Fool, hopefully. And I'm going to bring on my friend Tricia Nelson, unless technology is playing an April Fool on us. So I gave her about 2 more minutes, and I will send her the link just so that you know. I'm going to make sure all things are working well from my side of things, and you should be able to hear me really well. And as people start joining, if you would type just a hello in, that would help me considerably. I'm going to grab the link to share with her, and she will be joining me as well. So hang with me 1 second. Okay, sent that to her. It's always really interesting when technology comes into play and does the game. So little April Fool that wasn't an April Fool, just in case you want to know, I think I may have given the landscaper a show today unintentionally. I don't know. But you know those moments where you get out of the shower and it's like the thing that I was planning to wear is still in the dryer, but nobody lives in the house, and so you go and you just go get it. Well, yep, and about 2 seconds later, I heard the blower go on outside, and I'm thinking, huh, wonder what just happened there. Anyway, there you have it. So if you tell anybody else that, you know I'm gonna have to come out and look for you. But what we're talking about today basically is talking about sugar and the challenge that a lot of you all have. Hey, I'm going to show you. So this is always interesting. How do I bring you on? Let me see if I'm doing it. We should. Yeah. Ta-da. All right. Can you see us both? Talk to me, girl.
I can see us.
Sweet. Okay. I love it when it works. And I was like, you know, technology can always do that April Fool thing to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes. So you missed it. But I was just telling everybody that I may or may not have given my landscaper a little peep show today.
Ooh, fun.
Right? Yeah, fun for him. I'm like, oh, okay. Oops. But there's that. Hey, Sherry and Cammie. How are you? Hey, Robin, Jane, thanks for coming back. I think you were here earlier when I was giving the little PSA that I was coming on with a friend who's got all the goods and the insider tips. And Jenny, hello, how are you? So this is my friend. She's no stranger to Flipping 50, Tricia Nelson, who is founder at Heal Your Hunger and really the guru when it comes to all things that what I would say we do at Flipping 50 is talk around. You know, we talk about everything but this thing. We talk about, in questions that I get are really about like, tell me what to eat, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. But that I think is kind of masking the real issue sometimes. And just by giving you this very good structure, which sometimes you may indeed need, we may be also sidestepping or going under, going over what really is going on. Tricia, I'm going to let you weigh in on that. And I would love to kind of share your story because I told them earlier, for those of you that were here for the trailer earlier, you know, that they're going to take a look at you and say, how would she ever get it? You know, because you look like you just have always been naturally slim and slender. And, you know, people are just going to say, she doesn't get me. So
yeah,
I'll let you blow holes through that, girl.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. So I mean, I grew up as an emotional eater. I didn't know it was emotional eating. I just knew that I struggled with food and weight. I love to eat. I love to eat. I love to cook. I love to serve it to other people. I love to go out to restaurants. I would have like little heart palpitations thinking about the restaurant we were going to go to and how excited I was. And, you know, and so food was just a big highlight for me. And that would have been fine. But the problem was I had a weight problem. And so I grew up very overweight. And by age 21, I was 50 pounds overweight. And so, yeah, I was a big girl and maybe size 14. And I hated it. Oh my God, did I hate it. And you know, I had done so many diets and exercise programs, and I like to say pills, potions, and lotions. And, you know, I went to an eating disorders therapist for twice a week for a year. I read self-help books. I did all kinds of programs. And so nothing really worked for me. Like I would lose weight, but I'd always gain it back. And that was my frustration, is I had like 5 different pairs of jeans in my closet, you know, 5 different sizes of jeans, you know, and it was because I was a yo-yoer. So I'd be up 20, down 10, up 30, down 10, 20, you know, back up. And so I was always doing this. So I had many different sizes of pants, always holding on to hope that the skinny jeans would fit me one day again. But, you know, it was so frustrating for me. And I was really obsessed with food also. And that was a big problem too, is, you know, no matter what size I was very obsessed with food and weight. So my own weight, I was obsessed about, you know, I thought about it constantly. I had a roll on my tummy that I would scrunch up in my hands, and I would imagine cutting it off. I would like think, oh, maybe I'll get a disease where I would automatically lose weight because I hated to exercise. So, you know, it was tough. And so, yes, I struggled with food and weight. I wore black all the time. Like I was scared of colors because I didn't want to show my rolls, my cellulite. So yeah, it was a struggle. And sugar was a struggle for me. I was a total sugar addict. So once I started eating sugar, I couldn't stop eating it, sugar and carbs. So, you know, what I know now is that was really for the purpose of burying a lot of feelings. And that's why the emotional eating, you know, solution is so vital. It was for me and for so many women who struggle with their weight, because it's really the missing piece that isn't really talked about. But that's really how things changed for me, Deborah, is when I started dealing with emotional eating.
So, and I want to come back to that, of course, and dig really into that. Hey, Kathy. But I also want to talk about how timely this is, and share a little backstory about a client that I worked with for a very long time, 7 years. And actually our relationship ended only because her life tragically ended in a car accident. But she did not love exercise either. So you had that in common. And, you know, yet she knew she needed it, you know, and she had a love-hate relationship with me, but not in the way you want. She hated to see me coming and loved to see me leaving. I mean, and hey, no holds barred. She let me know that every time. And I would get there and she would say, "Can't we just talk today?" And I would have loved to, but, you know, I know she needed it. But she would tell me we had such a for lack of a better word, an intimate relationship. She trusted me, and she would tell me that, I mean, she has literally in the teens of grandchildren, and, you know, holidays were a big deal for her, but she was like the abundance grandma. And, you know, she would buy bags and bags of candy to stuff the stockings. And so at Easter time, you know, and it is just this time of year that really sticks in my mind, she would go and buy bags and those chocolate Easter eggs, and whatever she bought for the kids, she would consciously buy more, and she would take them to work where she was an accountant, and she would eat a bag, you know, while she was at work in one sitting, and then lose it all and throw caution to the wind and go through the drive-through coming home at McDonald's, and that would just like floodgates opened, and have so much guilt and remorse over that. Can you just kind of relate to that a little bit. And I'm talking, this woman was in her 60s. She dealt with it for a long, long time.
Yeah, I would say that emotional eating and sugar addiction is a very lonely walk because it's embarrassing. Like, you don't eat like other people. You know, you want so much to be normal and you're not. And so you hide it. I was a big hider. I'd binge at night where nobody knew. I would binge in my car. I would literally drive to 7-Eleven and buy goodies and then drive around and eat because I didn't want people to see what I was eating. And I'd throw away the remains, you know, before I got home. So, you know, I've had clients who will go through several drive-throughs and they'll make up stories about who they're buying food for, you know, because they don't want people to know that it's all for them, you know. So there is so much shame involved because it's hard to understand it. And it's, you know, and well-meaning people who don't understand it will make suggestions that aren't really helpful. Like, why don't you just moderate? Well, that's, to me, that's the M word. And it doesn't hold water for somebody who is an emotional eater, because we can know that we should moderate. Like, you should only eat 2 cookies, not a whole bag of cookies. But when you're in the cookie jar, you just can't stop. And so no matter what you know, no matter how many books you've read on nutrition, no matter how smart you are, you know, and my clients are really smart, but it doesn't matter because we're dealing with with deeper forces that need to be addressed. And it's the emotions, it's the buried emotions. And so, but the shame and the self-recrimination, I know it well, you know, and it's like, we beat ourselves up. Like, why did I do it? I'm so stupid. I'm so lazy. I know better. What's up? And I'll never get it. I'm a loser. I mean, these are things I said to myself because I was at a loss and I didn't talk about it with anybody. I had no idea how common it was. I mean, honestly, it's like, you know, that's the beautiful thing about community. And I know you have an amazing community with your program, and I do as well. Like, it's so much better for women to see that they're not the only ones who've done the crazy things they've done. You know, it just takes away a lot of that shame to realize, oh my God, like, this is such a common issue. I thought I was the only one, and I'm so not.
Yeah. And, you know, I will share too. And I know Kathy, and I'm not sure if any of the others of you here are fitness instructors in particular. So not health coaches, but literally fitness instructors. So, and if you've been around long enough back in the day, you know, we know better now, but we didn't know then. When I was in grad school, I mean, I was teaching 2 and 3 and 4 classes a day, you know, and doing my regular, and then somebody would call in sick and I would have to sub. And when you're on that kind of a cycle, you need something to get up, and sugar is not the answer, but it is sometimes the one you turn to. So I can remember when you're talking about drive-throughs, you know, when I was in grad school, I think every day before I would teach that 4 p.m., 4:30 class, because I was crashing, I would go through and get like a McDonald's frozen, I don't know, it was an ice cream cone or whatever it was. But every day, I mean, they knew my name. It was embarrassing. And, you know, so I think, you know, it can happen to anyone. And, you know, my day would have started probably at that point with Diet Coke, you know, not sugar, but still sweet, and playing into that desire for sweet. So none of us are immune. And I've been there too. So
yeah, for sure. It's hard. And it's like you mentioned, like the afternoon slump, like so much of the reason why diets don't work is that we take away the food in a diet. We take away our yummy foods, you know, our sugar and carbs, but we don't, you know, and the thing is, those things are serving us. They're serving us to deal with our stress, to deal with grief, to deal with an overpacked schedule. And so if we take away those foods, but we don't replace it with another coping tool that's healthier, it's only a matter of time before we go back to it, you know. And that's really the drum I'm beating always is you got to have new tools. You have to, you know, when food is being your primary means of coping with life stress, you have to have new ways of coping, or else the food, I mean, it's everywhere and it's being pushed on us all the time. It's only a matter of time if we don't develop those new coping tools.
And such challenge given clearly, I mean, we can't remove it. Like it's not alcohol. It's not, it's not cocaine. It's like you have to stop, and then you remove yourself from the people that did that with you. Well, I mean, food just isn't going to work that way, you know, right?
No, yeah, it's the hardest addiction to overcome because you have to eat.
Yeah. So, question for you, because you've been there, and yet, what was the turning point? Was there a moment for you, or was it, you know, and over months and weeks or even years that it took you to actually turn things around?
Well, I kind of had the moment of clarity one day when I had lost a bunch of weight. You know, that's really when I hit bottom, is when I had lost 40 pounds, 40 of the 50 pounds, and I was feeling great. I was looking good, you know, and what happened for me, Deborah, is that, you know, for a time when you're losing weight, you're kind of on this losing weight high. You know, it feels so good. Everybody's commenting, you're buying new clothes, and it's great. So it kind of fills you up. But then that stops, you know, and people kind of go back to their business and they don't really notice anymore. It's old news. And so what happened for me is all the things I had stuffed with food came bubbling up when I didn't have the food anymore and I didn't have the weight to keep it packed down. And so I started to have emotions that I didn't even know were there. And so I was sitting one day with a friend and I had a bowl of red grapes for him. It was supposed to be for him because it wasn't even part of my plan. I was a pretty strict food plan at the time. It's how I lost the weight then. And he left and I looked down and almost all the grapes were gone. And I thought, oh my God, like I just ate all those red grapes, which, you know, seems fairly harmless, but it was a lot of sugar. You know, red grapes have a lot of sugar. So I was munching out. But what I knew is that was only the beginning, that I was just about to tip back into my habits and go back up the scale again. I knew it was only a matter of time that I did that, and that it wouldn't be grapes, it would be donuts, you know? So, and I just thought, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I can't keep doing it. You know, I was young and I thought my whole life ahead of me is going to be this roller coaster ride with weight if I don't take a new tack. And so shortly thereafter, I met somebody who showed me how to go deeper and deal with the underlying causes, you know, and why I was driven to eat sugar in the first place, you know, why I kept self-sabotaging. And that made all the difference for me. So, but it was that moment when I realized, here we go again, one more time up the scale.
I have a question, because you talk so openly about it now, but this has been for you now decades from it. So I'm sure you can, telling that story, get back into the emotion and feel it, but it may be easier for you to talk about now. How easy was it for you when you mentally said, okay, I'm at that point? How open could you be, or who were you able to confide in at that moment?
Well, I was blessed to be introduced to my mentor, who showed me, like, that changed everything. I met somebody who had been morbidly obese and healed by dealing with the underlying causes and creating a self-care plan that were the new tools for coping with life stress. And so he mentored me. And my whole program is based on what I learned from him. So he mentored me. I started working with him. Together, we helped, you know, thousands of people. And then 4 years ago, I founded Heal Your Hunger and really took this to a new level online and created a whole, you know, step-by-step system. It's what my book is based on. It's so clear cut. So that's really what happened for me, is I was shown a system and then I just sort of codified it, and now that's what I teach.
And you too. So I know you and I have just talked about this, and I'm not even sure you want to talk about this, but clearly I'm going to. You just did a TED Talk.
I did finally.
What was the title? And is it published yet, or you've got to wait a little while?
I think it's only a couple more days. I just got an email today saying by tomorrow it's going to be ready. I don't know if TEDx will have it yet, but probably very soon. If anybody goes to the TEDx website and types in emotional eating, my talk will be there probably by next week. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, thank you.
So especially, you know, and I've got to ask, and while we're doing that, just for those of you who are here, I mean, anybody has a question for Tricia, and I think we're, you know, anything goes. So ask us anything. I will invite you to ask her anything. So
yeah, for sure.
But go ahead and type your questions in about yourself personally, or you're asking for a friend, of course. That would be okay too. Or anything about, you know, her background, the way she works, or clients she's worked with before. But I want to ask about, what have you noticed? I mean, certainly in the fitness industry in the last 12 months, the landscape has changed. What about for you with people seeking help, having problems with emotional eating in the last 12 months, when life has just given us all, pardon my French, put your hands over the ears of children, a shit show? So
yeah,
no
question. I mean, I don't think there's any time more than now, you know, in the past year, that people are recognizing that emotional eating is a thing. You know, I had friends who would never have called themselves emotional eaters. Like, you used to pat me on the head and say, "Oh, that's good work you do, Tricia," like having no idea what I was doing. And then once COVID hit, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm an emotional eater." I'm like, yeah, join the club. So it's, you know, and the thing is the pandemic was so terrifying. And I often say the 3 top drivers of emotional eating is pain, fear, and guilt, you know, and what we do is we use food as a painkiller and escape and a form of punishment. And so escape was the big one, I think. With the pandemic, is that our reality became very scary all of a sudden. All of a sudden we weren't safe. You know, there was nothing that was safe. I mean, we could walk out the door and get sick and die. It was so, our whole lives were turned upside down, not to mention the, you know, just the, you know, there was no routine anymore because all the rules changed. Yeah. You know, and kept changing. And so there was no stability, no place to really call security for us. And so people they comfort ate, you know, they just anesthetized their pain, and they escaped in food, you know, to quell the fear. There's so much roaming anxiety. Not to mention we were stockpiling food and stuck at home with it. So
I know, yeah. And I think for anybody who can recognize this, so I mean, I would have only myself to blame, right? Because Truman is not going to bring that food in, and he's not going to eat it.
Right.
That would have been my fault. But I especially empathized for a lot of women in our community who then suddenly actually had a multi-generational house. You know, kids coming back from college, even adult kids who maybe housed in New York City, you know, and didn't want to be there. It came back to like that's a lot of adults under one roof for a very long time. Right. And, you know, adults used to their own independence, their own choices. And so you've got a lot of access to food in the house that maybe you otherwise would not have. And sometimes you may have been the woman in the household who was the pivotal, you know, I prepare it all. You know, I have to make sure, and whether you do or you don't, you know, you may have been still the role that you took on. And that was a huge challenge for everyone.
Yeah, no question about it. It was crazy.
When you talk about, so addiction to sugar, I mean, primarily, are you talking about like the chocolate Easter eggs and candy bars and desserts, or I mean, does it start differently? And are we talking about sugar or any of foods that metabolizes sugar, triggering that?
Well, it's probably all of the above, and just depending where you are in your consciousness around health, you know, like I used to eat, as I said, at a 7-Eleven. You know, I used to really like their donuts and their, you know, whatever else I used to get there. So, but as I got more conscious about health and started studying health, which people who struggle with food and weight do, it's like, let me get to the bottom of this. I'm going to read everything I can read, you know, and trying to figure themselves out. And so they become very knowledgeable about health. So then perhaps they up-level their binges to Whole Foods. You know, I used to go to Whole Foods and look, I'd read labels for less sugar or sugar that wasn't refined sugar, cane sugar, but I'd still binge on it and I'd still feel sick, you know? So it's like, well, I binged at Whole Foods instead of 7-Eleven, but, you know, I'm still gaining a whole lot of weight, you know? So it's, you know, it can be anything and all the above. You know, and it's really frustrating when you do know so much about health, or you are a health coach or a fitness coach. You're telling people all day what to eat and how to take care of themselves. And then you go home at night and you're doing the opposite of what you suggest.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a painful place to be, because it's like, I know better, but I can't do better. And so it's a particular kind of pain because you feel like a fraud, you know, and you feel like you're, you know, you're not worthy of what people pay you because you're going home and binging at night. So it's hard, you know, and then I have clients who are like, yeah, I've been sugar-free for a long time, but I ate a hell of a lot of cheese, you know? So, but you know, that wasn't me though. Like I was a sugar addict through and through. And it was either sugar, like outright sugar, candy, Hershey's Kisses, whatever, Easter eggs, you know, but it was also carbs. Like I loved cookies. I loved chips, you know, carby things. And they metabolize the sugar in your body. And that's why they're so addictive. You know, they're just getting hooked.
What happens for you, say, Easter Sunday coming up, and you're having a meal with your family, for instance, and it could be anything, Christmas or whatever, but you know, and there's dessert served or whatever. I mean, do you enjoy it? Can you do dessert now, or do you choose generally not to?
You know, I have a quiz on my website called the Emotional Eating Quiz. And the quiz is based on a spectrum of emotional eating, because I really feel like we're all hardwired to have an emotional connection with food. And so you're either on the low end of the spectrum or the high end of the spectrum or somewhere in between. And if it's a free quiz, if you take the quiz, you'll get a personalized score of where you are. So what qualifies where a person ends up on that spectrum is control and consequences. Okay, so the level of control somebody has and the level of consequences they have from their eating. And, you know, I was not somebody who had any control. So once I started, I couldn't stop, you know, especially an addictive substance like sugar. So sugar has been proved to be more addictive than heroin.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's one way of qualifying where you are on the spectrum. The other way is consequences. And if somebody has eaten sugar long enough, you know, they have like seriously beaten their bodies up. Okay. So they're looking at pre-diabetes or diabetes. They're looking at autoimmune issues, heart disease, cancer. I mean, our food affects our bodies, obviously. You know, I'm probably preaching the choir here, but you know, the thing is that I was out of control and I had mounting consequences. Now, I wasn't 50 when I stopped my overeating. I was in my 20s. So I escaped a lot of consequences, but not the misery and not the self-hatred and not the hiding and the shame. So that stuff was big for me. But my clients who are, you know, like on average over 50, they've got the joint issues. I mean, you know, the joint issues, the diabetes, the, you know, sagging skin from sugar, because sugar takes away the elasticity in your skin. You know, it's the worst thing you could do for wrinkles is to eat sugar. And so it just gets worse as the years go on. Like the consequences of being addicted to sugar get worse and worse. So that's where people show up on the higher end of the spectrum, you know, more like food addiction. It was if they're routinely getting out of control, routinely losing control and feeling mad at themselves, they're more on the addictive part of that spectrum. So to answer your question, I was an addict, a sugar addict. And because of that, it's kind of just like an alcoholic with alcohol. Like a little bit, it doesn't satisfy me. And all it does is hook me in and create a craving for more. So that's why I teach about sugar, because I'm like, look, if you're trying to eat sugar in moderation, but you're addicted to it, you're fighting an uphill climb and you're going to lose. You're going to lose because if you're addicted, you can't stop once you start, and it's like, you're fighting, always fighting. So, people always want to be normal around food, but it has served me with certain foods to give up the fight and be like, that doesn't work for me. And so that's why I teach women how to have yummy swaps. That's why I love stevia. So to me, it's God's gifts to emotional eaters. Yeah, because like I enjoy
a little lemonade right now. So
yeah, I show people I enjoy, have soda that has no sugar in it, but sweetened with stevia or chocolate or, all kinds of things. So, I mean, thank God we have so many options nowadays for sweet foods that have no sugar in it. But if it has sugar, I will physically get addicted. Like it will hook me in. So that's why getting free from sugar is so vital.
Yeah. So, and I'd love to ask you a little bit. So you've got some, like, not diving in necessarily to your program, feet first, cannonballing in, but you've got a way to, give people some quick wins coming up. And especially right after Easter. And again, I remember this time of year when I had Dustin was, a toddler, and then as he was growing up, it started at Halloween, and then it went all the way through Easter, because there was the holidays and the Christmas, and then there was all different excuses for candy around everywhere, and then Easter. And actually where we lived, and some of you are here from Ames now, we had a celebration on campus that they were throwing candy in May, and the parade, or end of April. I mean, it was like never ending candy. Quick wins. So tell a little bit about your 5-day, quit sugar coming up.
Yeah. So starting on Monday, April 5th to the 9th, you can join a band of amazing women who are kicking the sugar habit. And it's, there's power in numbers. If you do it on your own, you're like, it's really hard and you probably won't do it or follow through with it. So join us for the Quit Sugar Challenge. And what's cool about it is I'm going to be teaching every single day, how to really move on from sugar, but still love your food. And so, like we talk about sort of the effects of sugar, we talk about where sugar is hiding in your food. Because even if you're healthy, there are so many, like every time we do the challenge, women find sugar hiding in their health foods. And they're like, oh my God, like I thought I was doing good, but I'm still on the drip. I'm still infusing sugar into my body, and no wonder it's so hard to quit. So getting sugar out for real, and all the different names for sugar, and becoming aware of that, sleuthing, if you will, the hidden sugars in your foods. Yeah. We're talking about self-sabotage and why people self-sabotage, talking about emotional eating. I give a whole day, one class is all about sweet swaps, and finding ways to really, I give you recipes that are really yummy. And we talk about different ingredients that you can use for swapping out, sugar. And then just like, there's so much successes that come out of this. I mean, women lose 3 to 5 pounds from the Quit Sugar Challenge, because it's just, once you quit sugar, you're letting go of bloat, you're letting go of inflammation, you're letting go of so many snacky foods that are so fattening, and so it's just really fun. But we do it in a fun way. We have contests, and it's super sweet. Pardon the pun.
Yeah. And so for those of you that are interested in details, so I did share the link in the chat here. And Sue Ann comments, people have joint issues and sagging skin as a result of aging. It's not related to sugar alone. And there's some truth to that. But Tricia, do you want to comment
Well, I just will say, of course, we age and we get wrinkles when we age, but we just do it faster when we eat sugar. I mean, Deborah, you're amazing. I would never believe your age, but I've been sugar free for a long
Just
time,
changed.
for decades, and I'm 50, almost 54 years old, and it's really served me to not eat sugar or drink alcohol. Alcohol is a culprit too. Which is really just the most refined form of sugar. So, but sugar is, if you know anybody who's diabetic, oftentimes, I mean, they have to eat sugar, or of some kind to control their blood sugar. I mean, like type 1s, for instance, but it takes a toll. It definitely affects elasticity in our skin.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And, knock on wood, I don't know what it is. So some of you know, and this is literally my face, so no makeup. I mean, little mascara, but 57 last Saturday, peeps. When I'm like,
happy birthday.
That's closer. I'm closer to 60. I'm like, okay, how about that?
Awesome. So awesome.
Can't think about that.
Yeah, the biggest effect on our health is what we're putting in our bodies. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, agree. And I also think there is something to be said for, and you may have research literally on this, that when you're eating in a certain way, I think your thought process is also very different. I mean, you alluded to mood and depression or shame and guilt, and that's tied more to depression, anxiety than anything else. And your thoughts, we no longer, and this was 20 years ago, we know we can't separate mind, body, and soul. It's not, I mean, even you don't have to believe in woo-woo. Now science actually declares this is true. So the way you're thinking, your thought process, if you feel so limited or restricted that aging equals X, that kind of puts you into a certain space. But the ability to have maybe higher thoughts, more possibilities, I think, is also determined in part by what we put in to eat, right?
Oh, no question about it. And also just how we feel about ourselves when we're not in control, like I just know, it really brought me down. Like I was so mad at myself when I would lose control around food. I was just so mad. I so wanted to have a better relationship with food, but I'd be tempted and I'd give in. And that just affected my self-esteem, and carrying extra weight affected my self-esteem. I hated it. I hated being bigger than my friends. I hated, always having to cover up my rolls. I hated not liking going to the beach. I mean, I just took a surfing lesson for my first time yesterday. I'm like, I can't believe I'm on a surfboard, and it's like, who would have thunk it? But this is the freedom that comes with really, putting the time and the effort. And it's not through diet. And I really want to stress this, that the work I do with Heal Your Hunger is really about diving deeper so you don't have to control food. Because so many people have been on diets for so long, are like, I've done it and I've done them all and they don't work. And I agree, 98% of all diets fail, but there is a way that you can live, in self-care and in dealing with the emotions that have been buried for so long. There's a way to get that stuff out of you so that you just don't crave it anymore, and so you don't struggle with the food anymore. So that's really the freedom I'm talking about. It's not like you're successful at a diet. I was never successful at dieting, but you can have a new way of living that will just relieve you of the craving so you don't have to fight anymore.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think, so many of you are here and you come to Flipping 50 for support with the exercise side of things. But I think that sometimes, what's going in, really is necessary, and why it's going in and what those things are, because that can be a real limiter to how much progress can you make. And it isn't necessarily related to your weight. It may be, certainly, but as I mentioned, like being in grad school, going through the drive-through right before I went to teach that class, it was like, fill me up with sugar so that I can then burn it off. But in the end, I wasn't getting better because of the exercise doing that. I was getting more exhausted. I was constantly,
Yeah.
I don't know how I made it through grad school, to tell you the truth, doing what I did. But thank God I did. So, I really think that's such a strong point to get across, is that you could be getting by. You might even be the right weight, but yet I've seen this meme so many times, and I hate to quote cliches, but many of us don't know how good we were meant to feel. We don't know how good our bodies can feel. And I think you should say something about the fact you just took that surf lesson, but you've lived in LA for how long?
For 15, 16 years, I think.
So I think that's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, you haven't done
Well, it is a big deal. I'm actually in Mexico right now. So I'm with, who I'm with is Robin Nielsen, our friend Robin Nielsen.
Oh, how fun.
So,
oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So she's the one who actually made me. She didn't make me, but she kind of like, you're going surfing tomorrow, and we've got Sergio who's going to teach you. So, you got to love it. So yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was really fun. It was really fun. But I'm always, since I do live in LA, I always see those surfers out there, and I have friends who are surfers, and I'm always like, that's nice for them. And they're kind of a different breed. Like I don't even relate to them really. I'm like, they're just fanatical and weird. And they go out in the morning, like at 7 o'clock, they're all out there, and they're like little seals. And, I just don't get it. But once I did it yesterday, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Like, this is so beautiful and awesome. So I think it's not going to be my last lesson.
I love that. And then I can't remember when it was. I can't remember where we were, but I do remember this is within the last 2 years. I know it. And you just said you're 54, but you said for the first time ever, you were wearing a bikini.
That's true. That was Hawaii, I think, or Arizona or Hawaii. Yeah, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I was always, I still have a stomach on me. Like I'm thin, but my anatomically, made body, the way God made me is I have a roll. I'll never have a flat stomach in this lifetime. I just won't. So I have a roll no matter what. And I've had to make peace with that roll. And so wearing a bikini was kind of hard for me because there's a roll there if my stomach is showing. But I just, once you turn 50, you just kind of like, screw it, like it's time to live. It's just time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom. Anybody else agree with that? I mean, you think less about what others think, and then you kind of realize, I got to get on with this, sister, because I mean, like, what am I waiting for? Like, we leave the clothes that we really love in the closet, like saving them for the rainy day. Like, what is that all about?
Oh yeah, no, as you know, my life drastically changed after I turned 50. I'm just like, I'm sick. I'm sick of living under a rock. I mean, I was doing some fun things, but I amped it up once I turned 50.
So good. I love it. Okay. So I put the link in again. It's the 5-day quit sugar challenge, and it starts on Monday. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah, join us. Join us. Don't wait. It's going to be great. And then also, if you join today, you'll have time to buy a few items. We give you a little shopping list, so you have time to buy a few items before it starts.
Okay. That is awesome. Kathy says, for sure, I just turned 65. I wear what I want. Awesome. And Kathy,
great.
And Kathy with a C, Kathy with a K, Leanne, I know for sure. So we've got some fitness instructors here who know this, probably so much of this for themselves, but also know it from having worked with clients who were there. So Tricia would be a great resource, y'all, for sharing her program, with people that you're working with as well. So, all right. Thanks so much for joining us. Oh my gosh, and taking a break from whatever it is, like Cinco de Mayo or your what's tonight?
There's a Spanish word for it, but it's definitely related to Easter. It's a big deal down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, enjoy. Have fun.
Thank you. I will.
Did you get up?
You know, I on my very, of course, it's so strange. My very first time I got up and I actually surfed for a little, like, you know, 3 seconds. And then after that, it was hard. I did get up, but not as much as the first ride.
Oh, it's humbling. I did that once with my son, and I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible at this.
Yeah, no, it was intense, totally intense. But is it at the same time exhilarating? You're like, I want to do it
again. Right. Oh, so good. Well, enjoy. I can't wait to see pictures of that. And to all of you who are watching with us live, thanks for joining us. And for those of you who are coming and looking after the fact, so we're talking the Monday, the day after Easter is when it starts. The sooner you get in, the sooner you have to do that little bit of preparation. And I'm sure that if you join last minute and have to, you'll be fine. But there's it. Okay. Yeah. Girl, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Love to all.
Bye-bye.